Okay, we are in the discussion of AWS Solutions Architect, and we've been discussing about storage types provided by AWS, and we've been discussing about S3 object type storage, S3 buckets previous videos, and we've been discussing about their life cycle, different classes, Glacier, right? And all other details, and how do you going to decide the life cycle of S3 bucket, and how do you move the data between different storage classes in AWS. Today we're going to discuss about one of the other storage volume type, which is EBS, Amazon Elastic Block Store, EBS. So EBS provides the persistence block storage volume for EC2 instance, normally mainly for EC2 instance. So as we discussed in my previous video, this is a block type storage, which is sort of similar to a hard disk in our computers, right? So each volume type offers different performance characteristics for diverse workload requirements. So AWS provide different storage classes under EBS to provide it's suitable for different type of workloads, right? Before we going into details of the storage classes under EBS, I'm just going to explain a few words mentioned in here. Right? So let's have a look. What are the different type of words in here? The definition, sort of. So you know about SSD. SSD is solid state drive. Solid state drive use chips to store data. There's no mechanical parts inside this solid state drive. So many drives, mechanical drives, hard disk drive, HDD. So mechanical drives being replaced currently with solid state drives because they're faster performance, right? Accessing speed because there's no mechanical parts on that. And the other two words I want to explain you is provisions, IOPS. IOPS means input output per second, and then throughput. So actually I'm going to explain a little bit about IOPS and throughput. What is the difference between these two, right? Okay. In these days, wherever you live, every single country has sort of highways, right? Think about the highway got cash booths where you enter into highway and then you exit. They're going to you're going to pay a fee for use in the highway, right? Think about the highway booth, and let's think about the cars, the small cars. Um, 5 cars go in a booth in a 1 second, right? One time it goes is a 5 cars, right? That is we called input output per second. So how many count? What is the count on IOPS? But these cars might be going to faster speed anyway. Highway speed is uh, speed of a highway is like you given a constant speed like 100 or something like that. But let's think about massive huge trucks going in through that uh, the cash booth, right? So that in when you think about the car transport maximum might be 5 people, right? 20. five cars, five into five, 25 people. But think about the cargo truck, huge truck, which can transport about 100, 200, maybe in a one time, right? So that is the difference between provisions, IOPS, and throughput. Throughput means how much data you can transfer in a particular time, like 1 second into a hard disk or something like that, right? But the IOPS is how many transactions you can do 1 second, like they are small transactions, but this through output you transfer how much, what sort of amount data you can transfer into a the hard drive like to storage, that is we call the throughput, right? So I believe you can understand the difference between throughput and provision, IOPS. So IOPS normally so many transactions might be uh, 50K transactions, that means 50,000 transactions per second, right? And like OLTP, we discussed during our databases online transaction, right? OLTP, online person transaction per second, right? And then throughput means, let's say, uh, 5,000 MB per second you transfer into one of the storage. So that is the throughput. All right. So under this elastic block volumes, right? Block store. They are normally a hard disk. So AWS provide you four type of different classes. The first one is a general purpose solid state drive SSD. So that is including GP2 and GP3. GP3 is a more performance, and then you have provisions IOPS SSD, IO1 and IO2, right? And then coming into a mm, hard disk drive, that's a mechanical drive. So throughput optimized hard disk drive, ST1 class. So and then you have the cheapest class is cold hard disk drive, the slowest option, right? So the general purpose SSD, so GP2 and GP3 is general purpose workloads, right? So normal user cases are you can use the boot volumes and dev test environment, right? But GP3 offers independent IOPS and throughput. So GP3 is a more better performance than GP2, right? And then you go to provisions IOPS loads like online transaction processing, right? Like OLTP workloads, like bank transactions, e-commerce transactions. So this is the highest performance SSD volumes, right? So user cases, IO intensive workloads and databases which has a highest transaction per second, right? So also like in GP3 in general purpose, IO2 offers higher durability than IO1, and you have 5 nines durability with the IO2 Block Express, that is the high performance IO intensive SSD volume. Then sequential workloads like data warehousing, log processing, and that is good for throughput optimized hard disk drive. So that is for them, right? They are like sequential workloads, right? And then that comes in the last part is called as HDD, hard disk drive mechanical, lowest cost option for mainly for archive data, which you don't access frequently, right? So that is how you uh, got AWS volumes in sorry, EBS volumes in AWS. These graphs gives you a sort of selection decision tree, right? So always we give you decision trees in my videos normally. So this is the sort of characteristics in a table here. So choose the right storage for your workload here. You have three different factors are listed here: the cost, and then input output per second, IOPS, and then throughput. So how much transfer you can do in a particular period of time, right? So if you have a look, general purpose SSD, its cost is 2 out of 5, and then IOPS is 3 out of 5, and throughput is 2 out of 5. So GP2 and GP3 listed in there. So you can see when to choose, right? So boot volumes, development environment, medium-sized databases, and low latency interactive apps. And then right-hand side, you can see the provisions IOPS. The cost is 5 out of 5. IOPS is 5 out of 5. Throughput is 3 out of 5. So when to choose critical business applications like OLTP, right, workloads, large database workloads, input-output intensive NoSQL databases, when you need a 99,999 durability. Remember the game in leather boards and other stuff. So throughout optimize HDD in the left bottom left, the purple area, pink area, I think, yeah. So cost is 1 out of 5, and IOPS is 1 out of 5. Throughput is 4 out of 5. So more throughput, less cost, and less IOPS. So that is good for ALTP, analytical database. Uh, Sorry, AP, I think, analytical databases, big data processing, data warehouse, log processing, sequential reads and writes. So huge amount of data when you're handling. It's good for throughput optimized hard disk drive. And then the last one is cost is 1 out of 5, and IOPS is a 1 out of 5, throughput is 2 out of 5. Infrequent access data for archive storage. So lowest cost is a priority, right? You don't have, when you consider your performance is not critical, right? And here in the bottom, you can see the diagram, right? Values, so say nodes values are may approximate and may vary based on AWS region and specific configuration. So in general, this gives you an idea. So here, so IOPS, right? And then uh, gives you how much is the cost per GB per month. See here, you can see 16K and up to go to can nearly 36 or something. So here you can go up to 64K, right? The throughput and the cost. The lowest cost is here, but uh, IOPS and throughput is less in these two storage, sorry, these two classes, SD1 and SC1. That is throughput optimized hard disk drive and cold HDD drive, so both the mechanical type. When you have general purpose SSD here, and then you have uh, provisions IOPS, they are the highest of cost, as well as they give you better performance, right? All right, let's go into next slide. Okay, so good to further discussing a little bit of understanding storage services, because we already studied few of them already, and also at least we have discussed a little bit of some of the other like EFS and FSX. We have still discussed. We haven't discussed separately, but we discussed. Mentioned in when we starting storage provided by AWS. So we're going to just compare bit of a between four of them. How do you going to decide which one is suitable for particular service? So understanding AWS storage service performance tiers. So storage performance spectrum so offers a storage service with varying performance characteristics to match different workload requirement, right? So high performance. So under EBS, you can use provisions IOPS, and the highest performance will give you IO2 block express. And then if you need a balanced, so you can go with EBS general purpose GP3. And if you need a network file system with the Linux based, so you can go Elastic File System EFS. And then you want a sort of a cost optimized and less sort of performance type. So you can go to a S3 standard, that is the object storage, and then you can go with EBS mechanical type of hard disk, either SC1 and ST1, which is throughput optimized and the cold hard disk type, right? So choosing the right performance tier, so latency sensitive is a low latency. You have to go EBS IO2 FSX for Luster, that's Windows type of workload. Windows type of a network file system, and then high throughput EFS, Linux based file system, or S3 with trans acceleration. You can use S3 with trans acceleration facility. And if you need a cost effective, so S3 with the appropriate storage class, right? It gives you sort of an idea. Sometimes it will ask from exam. So you need something 16,000 IOPS, which class is suitable. So the highest class is here EBS IO2. So you can go up to 256,000 IOPS, and then the throughput is 4,000 megabits per second. So your transfer rate is 4,000 megabits per second. It's nearly 4 GB. And then if you go to here, GP3, that is a general purpose GP3. So you can go up to maximum 16,000, and throughput is at approximately a 1 GB, sort of 1000 MBs per second. And then EFS, that's a lower but elastic file system. The IOPS, you can go a little bit faster than general purpose, so it's a 35,000, so it's sort of a double. And throughput, you can go to about 3000 megabits per second, nearly 3 GB. And then S3, the lowest of all, so IOPS is 5500, and throughput is somewhere under 450. And then I go to expensive options last, you can go to 100,000. Throughput is 6,000, right? So it's a very performance type expensive file system, right? All right. So we're going to looking into choosing the right AWS storage service for your workload. It just gives you a summary, some of things in a table. You can't see probably properly, but let me explain them. So the first column here gives you storage services provided by AWS. So first one is the EBS. Within brackets, it says which type of storage type is a block, and then there's three buckets: object, and then EFS, Elastic File System, a network based file system, and then a high performance file system, FSX. EFS is more towards Linux based, and FSX towards Windows based. So performance characteristic, as we mentioned, so you can go to IOPS up to 256,000 in IO2 blocks express throughput, and then that is very good for performance type workloads, right? And then S3 unlimited storage, right? And that's good for sort of storage type with the base selection, your whatever the database you want, and then EFS, right? Throughput is 10 plus GB scale up to petabytes, right? That's good for network file system, and also the FSX is a file hub. Performance throughput is 6 GBs, right? IOPS is also high, so you can use Windows type application high performance workloads, right? See here, um, you can see the sort of a graph type again with all different profile system, EBS, S3, FS, and FSX, whatever the IOPS type, and then throughput, and then the latency, and then the scalability. So the four different type of basically EPS and FSX sort of high performance, and then S3 and EFX. It's a middle type for performance, right? Okay, so choosing the right AWS storage service for your workload. We're going to discuss a bit of bit more about what we how do we selecting a different type. So storage selection criteria. So workload type. What workload is a batch, transactional, content delivery, the access patterns, how do you access, the random, sequential, frequency, performance, you need IOPS, throughput or latency, and then the characteristics, size, format, structured, unstructured, and cost consideration, budget constraint was performance requirement, right? So EBS, and then you have S3, and then you have EFS, and you have FSX, right? So workload type, we discussed, right? And here the table is not really very good. It's not formatted properly, but Amazon EBS is basically good for boot volumes or EC2, and then past like databases, which is like online transaction processing workloads. So durability coming 5 nines within the single availability zone, right? So then you have S3. S3 is the archiving backup, static web content, and all of the stuff, right? So then EFS is a Linux type file system. So they all durability coming up at 11.9. After EBS is only 1.9. Everything else 11.9, right? And so that is how these data choosing the right storage service for your workload, right? Okay, so so comparative analysis of AWS storage solutions, right? So this is sort of a comparative analysis, right? So you can see how much IOPS in the left graph. So IO2 EBS maximum 256,000. This is 64,000. IO1, and then GP3 16,000, GP2 16,000, and then FSX 100,000, right? Right? And, as we say, so, Block storage for EC2 instance EBS. S3 is object storage for any data type. Elastic file system for Linux, EFS, FSX managed file system for Windows. Right. So again, this gives you where you can attach these ones. So EBS mainly attached to EC2, this single availability zone, right? And then S3 is a simple storage service, object storage, multi-availability zone. You can access using API, EC2 also, but EBS EC2 is one-to-one, only that instance can access, and then EFS and FSX. So in FS, multi-attach, SMB luster, so they multi-attach, right? So that is how we normally going to decide uh, what storage solution is good for your requirement, right? And we just going to discuss about advanced data lifecycle management in AWS storage services. This is not basically S3 only. We're going to talk about the other one as well, but we're going to talk that one in our next video. Until then, thank you very much.